Hey everyone, and welcome back to the fifth video tutorial on how to create a model using the box modeling technique. Now, in our previous videos, we went through how to find reference images, using them to create a topology plan and blueprints, and importing those blueprints into 3ds Max using as a guide. In this tutorial, we finally be creating our 3D model. I apologize in advance if I'm going too fast. Please feel free to stop the video anytime and rewind it, or if I'm going too slow, feel free to skip some areas. Okay, so in this tutorial, I'll be going through the basic forms of our model, blocking out the crossbow, what it would look like, and adding simple techniques to our box in order to give it those simple shapes. So first off, we want to create a simple box. So let's go over to the modifier tab, select the little create tab, make sure geometry selected, standard perimeter is fine, and select the little box button. So once that's done, just drag and drop. So left click, drag and drop, simple rectangle, almost doesn't have to be exact, it can be any size you want. Just drag it into the scene, click, take your finger off the left mouse button, and then just move the mouse button up so you can create a rectangle with depth. So and then click to commit. So now we've created our basic form. We can just simply adjust this. So go into the modifier tab, press the top view, and just move it in position. As you can see already, we can't see the top view reference. So what we can do to make this a bit more visible, we can Alt X, make sure you have the box selected, and Alt X to make the box see-through. Or you can just right click, go to Object Properties, and just tick on see-through there. So okay, so once that's there, we can just move it into position there. So using the length, width, and height. When you're creating your box, just make sure your length segments, width segments, and height segments are all to 1, because we can just add loops in further that we go. So at the moment, just keep it to 1. So with the length, just adjust it accordingly, just so you can fit. Just so it fits in with the model there. That looks pretty good so far. Let's lengthen it up just a little bit so we can include that front part of the crossbow as well. So yeah, about there would look about right. And let's make the width of it a little bit more narrow, just so it just hits that top part of the crossbow. So just move it across a bit. And yeah, about there. Looks pretty good. And same with the height. So if we go into our left view, and we just move it down, and we'll just change our height, just make it up to where the top of the handle is. We can extrude extra polygons later on to get that extra block that's on the top of our crossbow later. So in the meantime, just go to where the top of the handle goes. So just about here looks about right. Okay, so now that we've got our basic shape in place, now we can just go to perspective view again, and we'll just rotate around our new cube that we created. Alright, so what we want to do, we want to start adding our loops around this cube here. Now, we can simply do this by right-clicking the object, making it a convertible editable poly. So just simply right-click, convert to editable poly. Now, once you've done that, we can just start adding our loops around our box. Okay, so let's start with the top view first. So press T for top, and we can just highlight the outside edges of our box, or the corners if you like to say, and we can just start inserting our loops around there. So just scroll down, use the connect tool, the connect settings I should say, click on the little box, zoom in, and we'll start from the top, start from the bottom I should say, and work our way down. So let's just drag using the little scroller box. I'll just scroll it up until we hit just about here, so that way we can make the edges a bit more narrower when we come to editing it. So that one's fine, so just press commit and do it again, highlight all the edges around the side and reset that, move it up, and we'll go about here to where this little bit of detail starts out here. So we'll commit that, highlight, drag it up, and just where that detail stops. So once that one's there, commit, highlight, reset this, move it just a little bit further, just so where the crossbow starts to widen up. So just about here, looks about right. So about there, looks good. So commit, highlight, move it up, and just get an edge to stop where it finishes widening. So commit, highlight, reset, sorry, and we'll create another edge loop just where the rounded piece starts at the top of the crossbow. So about there, commit, and we'll do the same to close off that piece as well. So about there looks about right. So just once you finish there, just connect OK, click the little tick box, and then we have our basic edges. So if I go to perspective view, P for perspective, move it around, you can see how we just created our edge loops there. So this can be our building block to creating this thing. So if I go into front view, then we can start creating edge loops around here as well. So if I just highlight, so click, drag, out, highlight. Actually, we'll start with the side view as well. So select the side edges, and we'll start making loops around there. So connect, reset, and we'll start from the top and work our way down. So at the moment, as you can see, the box is a little bit short compared to what we're normally like. It's because it's just off the ground level. So if we just move it up a little bit, probably about here, it looks about right. So that's probably a good position to have it on, just always on the X, Y, Z axis of the world. So if I press P and I just reset the Z axis, so it's in line with that grid there. Okay, so I'll go back to the front view, zoom in, I'll go to the edge mode, highlight the side edges, so drag and drop around the island, make sure they go red, and I'll scroll down, click the little connect, and we'll start from the top. So I'll just move this up, probably about here would be a good starting point. So this edge here will basically be where the curve kind of stops, and then we can just go down from there. So we'll go commit here again. This loop here can represent the top of our bows. So where the top of our bows are, that should be right there. I'll just move it down a little bit there. Looks good. Commit. Same deal, bottom of the bow this time. So looks like a good position there, and we'll just click OK now that we've done that. So now if we scroll back up and we go to vertex selection, so now we can manipulate the points of where the edges connect to. So yeah, let's move these in. Before I do anything else though, I just want to add a modifier to this. So what a modifier is a certain effect that can manipulate your model in accordance with what modifier you're going to have. So think of it as in Photoshop terms, like if you want to add an effect on a image and you say you want like a grainy type effect, so you would probably add a new layer and make it all grainy and then throw in a filter to overlay it or something. Think of the modifier list as these type of layers. So if I wanted to bend, like if I go to perspective view, if I wanted to bend this rectangle here, I could easily just add a modifier and apply a bend modifier to it. So bend modifier, and this will just manipulate it and curve it the way I want it to. But we won't delve too deep into the modifier list just now. What we're going to use though is a modifier called symmetry modifier. Now, what a symmetry modifier does is it copies one side of a model or a mesh, and it mirrors it to another side depending on what axis you want your mirror to occur on. So for example, or how I'm going to show you is I'll select all the edges first inside of the polygon, so inside of the rectangle here. Make sure these ones on the outer sides aren't selected. So if I go Alt X to go out of invisibility, as you can see, what's highlighted, all the ones on the inside there. So once you've highlighted those, I'll go Alt X again just to go back to invisibility. Scroll down and we'll just create a loop around this. So let's reset. Make sure it's the top box is 1 and the other 2 manipulators is 0. So once that's there, as you can see, it's created a loop in the middle of our model. This is fine. It's exactly what we want. So once you've done that, just go OK. Scroll up. We'll select the polygon selection. So this will select each polygon. And I'll just highlight. So dragging and dropping. Highlight one side. So we'll highlight the right side for now. So this way we can just work on the left side, and whatever we do on the left side will be affecting the right side as well. So that's what the symmetry modifier pretty much does. So we'll delete one side. So delete. I'll go out of polygon mode. Go into the modifier list. So the little drop down arrow next to that modifier list. Drop down. Click on it. And scroll down all the way till you can see a symmetry modifier. Now, it's all in alphabetical order, so if you can't see it on my screen, that's fine. Just keep following it down to the S, and it should be the last S modifier there, so symmetry modifier. Once you find it, just click on it, and it'll add a modifier to it. Now, as you can see, it's already trying to mirror the side that we deleted. So, what we don't want this. We want to mirror the other side, so the left side. So, what we can do is down in the parameters here, if you have symmetry selected, down in the parameters it has mirror axis, X, Y, and Z. So at the moment it's set to X, and it's not flipping. So what we want to do, we want to flip it to the other side. But before I do that, I just want to show you what the Y and Z would look like as well. So if I go on Y, it's trying to mirror the Y side of our object to the other Y side. So as you can tell with the gizmo as well, that little box with the arrows is pretty much where the center of the symmetry is happening. And same if I went to Z. As you can see, it's flipping on the Z axis as well. Okay, so if we go back to X and we just want to flip it, so that way it just flipped the axis over to the other side, which is exactly what we want. Also too, you can manipulate the gizmo as well if you open the symmetry modifier. If you click on that little plus box right next to the symmetry, it'll open up a little hierarchy option, and it'll say mirror. So just click on mirror and you'll be able to manipulate where the center of the mirroring is taking place. So that's also a good thing to know about. So I'll just undo that, and we'll go back out to the symmetry. Now you can turn the modifiers off using this, clicking on this little light bulb. You can turn it on and off. This is fine, just keep it on for now. So we want to go back to the editable poly so we can start moving our vertices around. So if you just click on editable poly, it will show you the symmetry modifier has disappeared. Now we can simply turn this back on by clicking the show end result on off toggle. Now it's kind of like a little vial icon next to a pin just underneath the modifier list, so that's fine. Just click on that and it'll turn it on. So that way it's showing all of the layers all the way down, back down to the bottom layer, which is our editable poly. So that's always good to know as well. If you turn it off, it won't show you the end result. If you turn it on, it will. So it's always good to know. Alright, so if we go into vertex mode, go into the front perspective, we can start moving these vertices around. So we'll start with the top corner, and watch what happens when I move these vertices inwards. Watch the right side and see what happens. So if I go on the x-axis and move them in, as you can see, it's doing exactly what I'm doing, just on the other side. So this is what the symmetry modifier does. It just mimics one side and it tries to copy it on the other. So it's always a good good modifier to have on symmetrical models or character models if they're pretty much the same anatomy on either side, right or left. So it's always good to have. Okay, so let's move these vertices in just to match up to where the top of this the extruded piece of wood is. So about here looks pretty good. So just where it starts. Also too, just move these in a bit so it's a bit more narrow. That's good. Alright, that's pretty much it for the front view. We can go to the top view and start moving these vertices around as well. So start from the back and work our way down. So let's start with these vertices here. So we'll just move this one in into about here, looks good. And then we'll move the top corner one inwards as well. So just about to here. Doesn't have to exactly be on the blueprint, that's fine. If it's just a little bit off, that's also fine. That's fine as well. So we just want to get a rough idea on whereabouts we're placing these vertices. So then we can just edit it later on. So okay, so once you've done the top ones, we can work our way down. So let's just move these ones inwards. So it's a bit, yeah, about there. And we'll move the outside one inwards as well. So starting to get a bit of a curve kind of feel. We can even move this top corner one down a bit. Yeah, about there. And we'll just move this one in a bit as well. There we go. Okay. So once that's done, we can start going down a bit further. Just move this one in. Actually, we'll keep them like that, and we'll just manipulate the outside ones first. So about here, just where the corner of the detail is. Same deal with this one. Move it here. This one as well. Move it inwards, just so where it starts to widen out. Just move it in. There we go. And same deal with these ones as well. So make sure you highlight all of the vertices here. So they go red. Red means highlighted. Blue means it's not. And just move it in. There we go. Looks pretty good so far. Alright, so once we've got that all sorted there, we can just go to the perspective view. If there's anything you notice that's a little bit off, we can just change that. So probably no, that should be alright for now. Okay, so if I Alt-X for a second, it's trying to smoothen out the areas that that the box originally was. So we don't really want that. Well, I don't want that anyway. So it's really just personal preference. But I like to turn the smoothing of the model that I'm working on off, and then change the smoothing of it at a later time. Just probably about when I've almost finished it. So what I mean by smoothing is if I come over here and create a new box, convert it to editable poly so I can change it. Alright, so the corners or the faces of the object are pretty straight. So there's straight corners and there's no smoothing areas or anything. So if I select these two polygons here and I scroll down and I change the smoothing group, so if I just clear them at the moment and I make these two smoothing groups the same, watch what happens. So if I select one, move it up, unselect. Okay, so see how now that we've lost that sharpness in that corner there, and it's trying to blend both of these two faces together. So that's pretty much what smoothing groups are doing. They're trying to blend two surfaces together to try and get like a nice smooth area. The different types of smoothing groups, they're all exactly the same, they're just under different groups. So if I wanted these two faces to be exactly the same or have the same smoothing, but I wanted these three faces on the outside of this box to have a different smoothing, then I'll just make these two. So now, if I go out, go back in, now it's trying to blend all these three faces here together. So as you can see, it's given it a bit of a weird kind of shadowing, which isn't great because it's trying to calculate how it's trying to smooth all these three flat surfaces together. But just trying to give you an idea on how the smoothing groups kind of work and see how they're pretty defined to the first group that we created to what they are now. So that's pretty much what smoothing groups are. They're just trying to smooth the surface together using their individual groups. So just delete that box now. So just remove it, and we'll come back over here to ours. So I'll just turn off the smoothing groups now. So if I just select, go to the polygon selection, select the entire mesh or model, scroll down until you see polygon smoothing groups. So as you can see, it's the grayed out ones mean that one or more polygons have been assigned to this group here, and 1 or more polygons have been assigned to 3 and 4 and so on and so forth. So we'll just clear that for now. So none of the polygons have any smoothing groups on them at all. So we'll just go back out there, untick that, and as you can see, there's no smoothing involved at all. It's all just pretty much straight edges. Okay, so once you've done that, we can go select vertices, left view L, and make this invisible again, just so we know what we're doing. And we'll just simply move everything in place to accordance with the side view. So we'll start with the bottom here. As you can see, it's a bit more lower down than what it should be. So we'll just move these down a little bit here, and I'll move these vertices up, just to highlighting them, selecting, moving them up. Same with these ones as well. Just move these up here, and just move these ones up as well. Probably about to there. That looks pretty good. Won't worry about this area in here for now. We can work on that a bit later. So let's just work out, try and organize these ones a bit better. Actually, we'll create a edge just around the side here. So if you go into edge mode, highlight the ones on the outside, scroll down and create another loop or edge around this area here, just so we can break up where the bows actually extrude out to where the blocks are empty, or where the sharp piece of metal locates. So just trying to break that area up a bit for us. So we'll just move these down a bit just so we can get that area done. If we select OK, like I said before, it's okay if it doesn't match up exactly. We're just using these as guides. So alright, perspective P. So now that we've got the basic shape pretty much done, we can then start to extrude out and change the front of it, so we start to get that little bit of detail in the front there, as well as creating our handle and bows and whatnot. So that concludes this tutorial here. In the next tutorial, like I said, we'll be extruding up and changing the front of this here. So okay.